How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Welcome to Blues Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome as we break down what has happened this week. Of course, we're talking about mandatory mini camps for the Buffalo Bills. Started Tuesday, ended today. Hope to let you guys get in here for a little bit, and we'll talk more about that. What's going on with our Buffalo Bills? Buffalo Sabres just signed a new goalie coach. We'll talk about that for a little bit if that is what you want. Wanted to get on here a little bit earlier than normal just because I know that you guys are going to be checking out some live streams for the NBA Finals Game 6. So I want you guys to be able to enjoy that. I'll probably be enjoying that as well. Wanted to get on here early so we can wrap up Mandatory Minicamp 2019, go over some more important dates for the NFL for our Buffalo Bills. What is coming up next now that it's summer's here, even though it's a rainy, a little bit chilly day here, but summer is here. That means these players get a little bit of a break now before the season really unwinds, right? We get ready for the NFL season to really begin as August 1st is the Hall of Fame game. So, we have some camp before that, but other than that, we're looking at August 1st. Preseason's going to start a little more than a month and a half away. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Again, thank you for joining me if you're just tuning in. Again, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, like this video, share this video, let people know that we are out here and we're alive to wrap up mini camp. So wanted to get to some observations from both days 1 and days 2. If you do not know, today being day 3 of mini camp, some teams do this, especially when it's raining, bad weather. They don't want to risk injury again, or more injuries in the case of the Buffalo Bills. So what the Buffalo Bills decided to do today, they decided to do a team building exercise. Now, what exactly does that mean, right? Well, we saw the Patriots take 2 days off, right? They wanted some sort of paintball trip. The Denver Broncos, they held a training camp where they had like different activities for them and their fans. Really cool idea. Get their fans involved as well, but gives this team chance to build, right? And that's what we like to see. We want the Buffalo Bills to build not just on the field but off the field. You want some of that camaraderie, so that way if a player is struggling during the preseason or regular season, they have a place to turn to, right? A guy who's going to help them out, who they know they can trust. Maybe it's a guy at the same position, right? Maybe it's not. I mean, we saw in both OTAs and minicamp, or at least we heard about Frank Gore going over to Tremaine Edmonds or going over to Matt Milano and talking to him and saying, "Here, this is what I'm seeing you do. This is how you can improve that." And that's invaluable information, right? That's so valuable for a veteran player like a Frank Gore to go in there and say, "Here's what I'm seeing from you. And this is what you need to do to improve that." This is what veteran running backs are going to see when you play them during the regular season. In order to improve on that, this is what I recommend. Go to the defensive coach and say, "Hey, this is what he sees. What do you think?" Boom. Then all of a sudden, you're continuing to improve. We saw that last week in OTAs. Continue to see that this week in training camp, mandatory mini camp as well. We want to talk about Duke Williams. There's a big catch that Duke Williams made over Tre'Davious White this week as well. Everyone's been talking about it, so we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen apparently had some struggles this week in mandatory meeting camp. We'll talk about that as well. And we will also talk about what is next on the schedule. What do you guys have to look forward to as Bills fans? What are we waiting for? But again, I want to do this all before 8:30. I know a lot of YouTube channels will start doing the live broadcast for the Game 6 tonight between the Golden State Warriors and Toronto Raptors. Let me know who you want to win in the comment section to my right here. Just leave a chat and say, "Hey, Toronto Raptors. Hey, Golden State Warriors." Let me know who you want to win tonight in the NBA Finals Game 6 in Golden State. Last game at Oracle Arena. But let's start with day 1, Tuesday of OTAs. Coach McDermott came on the mic mandatory minicamp. Coach McDermott came on the mic right before mandatory minicamp, and he decided to start talking a little bit about some of the injuries. And as someone who wasn't on the injury report during OTAs, who was added to the injury report, was Robert Foster. Said it was some sort of a foot issue. So we didn't see Robert Foster on the field that much. Didn't see Zay Jones on the field either. He's been dealing with a nagging injury. Nothing too serious. Again, in summertime can't come soon enough for some of these players. That's why maybe having an extra day of just team building today was a good idea for the Buffalo Bills, for Coach McDermott, for Brandon Beane, all of them. That's easy. The Raptors. Heck yeah. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk again. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, guys, hit that subscribe button as I get ready to share this video on Twitter. Again, and if you guys haven't followed me on Twitter, I am on Twitter. Try to keep you updated on all Buffalo sports news as best I can. Like I said, the Buffalo Sabres just hired a new goalie coach. So, we can talk about that if you want, but I'm not sure what we really have to say. I haven't done much research as far as where this guy was in the future or in the past and how he's going to help this team. But normally when we get a new head coach, right? Kruger being our new head coach, you normally, same thing in the NFL, you normally clean up the cover and get the coaches that you want in there. So I look forward to that. But again, guys, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. I'm just writing here on Twitter. If you followed me before, or if you watched my live streams before, you know that I cannot both write or type and talk at the same time. So if you hear me stop talking for a second, and you're like, hey, where'd you go? I'm just writing up something on Twitter real quick to let people know, to share this and let them know, hey, join us as we're live to wrap up mandatory minicamp. So I will be done in a second. Join the discussion. And then if you're not on my Twitter page, guys, get on my Twitter page, and then you can also share this with your friends. Let them know, hey, we're live. Tell me what you think about Buffalo Bills minicamp this season. Do you think it went well? We'll get to the injuries. And like I said, we'll just talk Buffalo Bills football. I look forward to seeing what happens this upcoming season. I actually just got done. If you haven't already, guys, I would say check out Louis T Network. Louis T actually posted a video on a draft recap for the Buffalo Bills. Kevin Johnson getting hyped. Yeah, John Patrick, welcome. Yes, he is getting hyped. He had a pretty good mini camp. And you talk about some guys getting hyped. Like I said, I'll go over some observations from both day one and day two of the NFL draft, or of the minicamp. And again, we'll talk about some offensive line issues. We had on day one, we had 4 offensive linemen not participating. And that kind of makes you shuffle around the offensive line. And Brian Dable, our offensive coordinator, actually came out and said, you never want to see someone get hurt, but sometimes that's a good thing to be forced to mix up, because, those injuries are going to happen in the regular season. You're going to have to mix up the offensive line. You're going to have to be able to do that. And so this kind of forces your hand a little bit to do that earlier than you would like. I'm going to actually turn off my DirecTV here, because since it's raining, of course, if you have DirecTV, you know that the feed doesn't always come through that great, and it's kind of distracting me. So I'll get to that as well. But yeah, so it does force our offensive line to see some switches. We had, as far as day one, we had Bacher injured, John Feliciano on the injury report. We also had Quentin Spain and Jeremiah Sorrells on the injury report, as well as Paul from #Sports calls me during the live stream. Paul, if you're not watching, you need to watch the live stream. We can talk later, but we're doing a live stream right now. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, my buddies over at #Sports, hey, great guys, great channel over there, and they have great content, so definitely check them out as well. Hey Ron Enix, I hope I said that right. Welcome to Believers Talk, guys. Again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like this video. What did you think, or from what you've heard of mandatory minicamp? Now, good news is we of course had no holdouts, nothing like that. Everyone was there. Yeah, even the injured players, they showed up. They were there. They were on the sidelines, and they were all part of the team building experience that they had today. So that's good to see that there are no holdouts. I will give him a text real quick and say, hey, join us. Yeah, but anyway. But yeah, I do want to, again, thank you guys all for joining me here. Like I said, I put on Twitter as well. If you're not following me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, then share this. Let them know that we are live to do the wrap-up of minicamp. So, one thing also we want to talk about as well, not just the offensive line being mixed up. Josh Allen struggled, guys. Josh Allen struggled during minicamp, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If he's going to struggle, I saw this somewhere, if he's going to struggle, you want him to struggle during minicamp. That's when you want him to struggle, during these practice times. You want to make sure that he gets out of the way, and that could be one of the reasons for that could be because of the offensive line constantly switching in front of him. Now, of course, there's no contact during his mandatory minicamps. He obviously had the red jersey on, so no one was touching him as much. But he did have some overthrows. But you also have to give credit to some of the defense. Like was said by one of the comments here, Kevin Johnson having a good start to, or had a good mandatory minicamp. You look at Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer's always been a beast, but he's stepping up even more during mandatory minicamps. Now, there was, of course, that one play, Duke Johnson in the red zone over Tre'Davious White. Again, due to some of these injuries with Zay Jones, Brown, Beasley, all of them kind of having being hurt a little bit here and there, nicked up. That gives someone like Duke Williams a chance to step up, play on the first line. Now he was the pass was thrown by Matt Barkley, not Josh Allen. But you do look at that and you say, wow, okay, maybe there's something going on here with Duke Williams. If you've watched these episodes, if you have followed me, you know that I'm not the biggest Duke Williams fan as far as thinking he's going to make this roster. But guys, if I am wrong, I don't like getting into this argument if I'm wrong. Like, okay, if I'm wrong, it helps the team, so I'm for it, right? But I just think our wide receiver, we have a lot of depth at that wide receiver position. I think we got to make some tough cuts. Now, out of our wide receivers, Duke Williams, 6'4", that's what he has to play to, his size, because not too many of our wide receivers have good size. He has that, so, and that's what happened on this one play. But remember, it's one play. We need consistency at the wide receiver position, and maybe that's something he can offer. But if you look at the CFL, last year in the CFL, he led in receiving yards. I looked back 2 years ago at who led in receiving yards, and I forget the name, but last year he played for Minnesota Vikings, had one catch for 23 yards. So, it's hard for a CFL player to come into the NFL. And again, there are rule differences. There are changes that need to be made. So I heard of the TV passes Allen threw. He overthrew some receivers. He had a really bad underthrow that Jordan Poyer was able to pick off. I think day one he struggled a lot, and then day two he got a little bit better. But yeah, Allen definitely struggled during his mini camps, according from what I read from Buffalo Rumblings, BuffaloRumblings.com. From Mike Rodak, who, by the way, Mike Rodak, this is news as well. Mike Rodak is not going to be the reporter for the Buffalo Bills for ESPN for much longer. I think in July he will no longer, and I know a lot of you, that'll make a lot of you happy. I was never a fan of Mike Roddick's reporting, or Rodick, however you say his last name. I thought sometimes he was a little biased against the Bills, but at the same time, he has a tough job, right? He has a job, like, as Bills fans, we want it to be all good news, right? We want him to just tell us the good news, but he's not working for the Buffalo Bills. He's the Buffalo Bills reporter for ESPN, so he has to report the news, good or bad, and so sometimes we didn't like that. It's unfortunate for him that he's originally from the New England area, right? And I think he grew up a New England Patriots fan, but it kind of stinks for him that got out, so a lot of Bills fans just hate him just for that. I think he had a tough job to do, and I'm not sure what he's doing after the Buffalo Bills gig. He is a Patriots fan, so I don't know what he's doing after the Buffalo Bills gig, but guys, he's a reporter. Like, best of luck to you, no matter what, in your future endeavors, whatever you're doing. Good luck, and whoever we get next, let's go. Maybe they'll call me up and see what my schedule looks like. I promise for ESPN, I'll clear off my schedule. Probably won't do so many videos, so it might be bad for you guys. So maybe I'll tell them no, forget about it. I got this Believers talk to do. Sorry I'm late, man, but I had to watch this video about the possibility of the Bills having to relocate. We could talk about that a little bit too. James Williams, welcome. I wouldn't put the frown there yet. Listen, if there's one thing that I know, I'm now living in Pennsylvania, and the Pagulas actually have a strong presence in Pennsylvania. In fact, Terry Pagula, actually most of his fortune that he has was from some oil drillings that he did here in Pennsylvania, more north of the state. But he donated $1 million to Penn State when Penn State got the new hockey arena. He's done a lot of good things both in Pennsylvania and New York, of course. Listen, Terry Pagula bought the Buffalo Bills, and they might relocate to the city of Buffalo, but he's not going to have them leave Buffalo. He is going to keep that team, do everything he can to keep that team in Buffalo. This isn't like the Jacksonville Jaguars, where Khan is exploring an idea of possibly moving overseas or moving that team. I hope it doesn't happen, UCF Jaguar. I hope that your team stays in Jacksonville as well. I have an issue with ever thinking about a team is going to be over in Europe or overseas anywhere or in any other country. It's the National Football League, not the International Football League. But we'll see what happens. Let's guess Hashtag sports for what? John Patrick, I don't pay attention when I talk sometimes, so I'm not sure. I'd be okay with them moving to Pennsylvania. I live there. Yeah, Ron, I do too. I do too. But I think Pennsylvania has enough teams. You talking about the Steelers and Eagles, of course. Nah, they're gonna stay in Buffalo. Like that's going to happen. Now everyone's talking about a new stadium possibly. And we actually, back when I had my co-host with me, Steve, we actually did a video last off season about the possibility of having a new stadium, and that can't be far down the line, right? When you start talking about year after year, we're talking about, oh, the Bills need to make reservations or reservations to the stadium, or do we need a new stadium? I mean, sooner or later, it's going to come down to needing a new stadium, and I just hope that Terry Pagula and the people he hires, because he's hired people to look at the best possible situations for a stadium. He's looked in Buffalo. I believe there was an area in Niagara Falls they were looking at. So he's done his research, and that's all you can do. But at some point, I'm going to say in the next decade, it's probably going to happen. But again, I don't think we have to be concerned about the Buffalo Bills leaving the Buffalo area. But again, New York State, kind of a big state too. Who knows what is going to happen? But again, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. Again, in the description below, you will find the link to my Twitter page. You also find, if you've watched some of these videos, I am Amazon affiliate. Father's Day is coming up. This Sunday is Father's Day. I got in the link below. I got the Best Dad Ever t-shirt. Buffalo Bills t-shirt. The A in dad is actually the Buffalo Bills logo. So if your dad is a Bills fan, or if you're a Bills fan and you are a dad, just go ahead and click on that link below and say, you know what, son or daughter, I want that shirt. So again, the link's in the description below. Be sure to check that out. And even if you just need to shop on Amazon for anything else, start by clicking that link. It really helps the channel out, helps me out as well. So I appreciate that. I think the new stadium idea will come around when we do the new collective bargaining agreement. Again, that's all possible. I don't think the new collective bargain agreement will affect the stadium idea at all, because the collective bargaining agreement is between the NFL owners and the players. Buffalo, New Era Field, or for whatever, or New Era Stadium, whatever you want to call it, there's no question of safety to the players, right? This isn't like where the Eagles used to play, where Michael Irvin broke his neck. With the way turfs are these days, artificial turfs, it's a lot softer to play on. It's a little bit rougher on the knees, but that's just a turf thing. That's not a player safety thing necessarily. So I'm not sure if it will come up during the collective bargain. Now you might see it during that time, but it would be a separate issue, right? It would just be because right now, the NFL and not even necessarily the NFL owners, right? But Roger Goodell basically himself and some of the NFL execs are talking to Terry Pagula about, hey, you need a new stadium. This is just not up to code, yada, 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 these things. And that's why they keep having to do renovations, right? But they keep spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on renovations, and then sooner or later it's going to be more cost effective to just build a new stadium. Now, if you are in the city of Buffalo or in the surrounding areas, I personally would not be concerned about it coming out of tax dollars. I think the Pagulas, with their generosity, will do something like they did down in Atlanta, where they will pay for at least the bulk of the new stadium. So if you're in that area, I mean, I can't speak to that as much, but I would not be concerned of that. Sean McDermott from Terry. There's zero chance we're moving, and the fact it was even written is disrespectful. Terry Pagula has been a Sabres fan his entire life and now a Bills fan. He bought the team so it wouldn't. Yeah, like that's why he bought the teams, right? I mean, you go back to when Ralph Wilson died, you had John Bon Jovi wanting to move us to Canada. Still hate listening to that guy's music now, even though I was a fan of his prior to that whole situation. You have Donald Trump, now President Trump, of course, wanted to buy a team, and Maine thought, he'd probably move to Canada. Let's be honest, Donald Trump, businessman, he's going to make the best business decision for himself. There's nothing wrong with that. I still don't like him for that. However, now he's my president, so I'll respect him for that, right? Well, not my president, but our president as a nation. Anyway, and then there was Terry Pagula, and Terry Pagula, of course, wins the bid, and he keeps the team in Buffalo, and he secures the team in Buffalo. Not only does he secure the team in Buffalo, he builds like this whole sports empire in Buffalo, in downtown Buffalo, right? He builds a new hockey arena. He builds like a new kids center, something like he's built a whole new sports complex in downtown Buffalo. So I don't think they plan to move anytime soon. Now, of course, if you didn't hear, they did they did stop as far as owners of the Buffalo Buttes with everything that's going on with women's hockey currently. And best of luck to them. And that doesn't mean that that relationship's dead in the water. The Buffalo Buttes are still playing next season in for women's hockey, but it just won't be under Pegula Sports, so that will be a little bit different. Thank God Trump didn't buy the Bills. Absolutely, John Patrick, man. I mean, again, he's a businessman, so he would have made the best business decision. He would not have cared about what you thought. He would not care what I thought. He would have just made the best business decision. John Bon Jovi, gosh, we see John Bon Jovi with Robert Kraft in the Patriots box when they're in the Super Bowl, right? Like, I mean, come on. Like, I'm so happy he didn't get the team because he would move them as soon as he could. He might have just dissolved the team if he could. I don't know. But then, of course, Terry Pegula with the huge, he comes up huge for the Buffalo Bills, for their fan base, to keep this team in Buffalo. But I do want to get back to mandatory minicamps, talking about that a little bit. Again, we talked about the injuries, we talked about Josh Allen, and again, Josh Allen might have had some good progress throughout minicamp, but overall, from days 1 and 2, and again, they didn't do anything today, but from days 1 and 2, it was a little bit tough for Josh Allen to get it going. But again, that can be attributed to the offensive line constantly rotating. The offensive line, especially that, I think it was the right guard position. I think they had 2 or 3 different right guards for the first line offensive line. So that again changes things a lot when you keep rotating those players in. Another thing I did want to talk about is Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver is still being seen on the second line. He has not. He spent millions. Yeah, he has. Talking about Terry Pegula, he has spent millions in downtown Buffalo. So you look forward to seeing what he will continue to do to try help out that city and try help out this team. Ed Oliver is still with the number 2s. Ed Oliver has yet to step up and be with the number 1 defensive line. Currently, Trent Murphy is beside Star Latulippe as the first line. Now, this can mean one of many different things, right? Now, we all know what happened with Josh Allen. We all know what happened with Matt Milano. Some of those rookies who we knew would end up starting, they had to earn it, right? They had to earn that spot. Matt Milano, you think about 2 years ago, Matt Milano didn't really play until week 8. Matt Milano, even though he was proving that he was effective, he really didn't get a majority of snaps until about week 8 or 9 of that season. And he was a difference maker. As soon as he stepped in, he was a difference maker. Now you talk about Josh Allen, of course, last season. Nathan Peterman gets the start. I don't know. I mean, there comes a time where you just have to start Josh Allen in that situation. I don't know if Josh Allen earned the right to start, but Nathan Peterman definitely earned the right to get back on that bench and just sit there for a while. So Eddie Yarborough, poor showing, didn't look good in drills either. Correct. Yeah, Eddie Yarborough, someone else I wanted to talk about, didn't look good in either day as far as Coach McDermott could be concerned. But again, you can't take this too far, right? Mandatory minicamps, you're not using pads. I remember I did an episode during OTAs, and there was a report out there that Cody Ford didn't look good during OTAs, but then the question is, how well can you look when you're really not even hitting anybody? How intense can you be? Now, you still want to see good progress, right? Especially from someone like Eddie Yarborough, who is a savvy veteran, but at the same time, you can only read so much into mandatory minicamps. So we're not gonna drill anyone yet. Another thing I want to talk about as well is Tyree Jackson. Reports come out that Tyree Jackson really hasn't played all that much. Hey, John Roberts, how you doing? Welcome to Believe Sucks. Thanks for joining me. We're talking about mandatory minicamp, of course, wrapping up today. Today, the Buffalo Bills did not participate in mandatory minicamp. They actually had a team building day. And I'm sure it's this way up in Buffalo too. It's been pretty much pouring all day here. I think it's that way up there too. So instead of risking some sort of injury or anything like that, they decided to make it a team building day, which we've seen around the league. A lot of teams have been doing this now, make you build that camaraderie off of the field and on the field as well. Talked about Eddie Yarborough having a tough couple days. We talked about Duke Williams making a good catch over Tre'Davious White in the end zone. And a lot of people said Duke Williams looked good there, but again, you need to see that consistently, right? Again, you're talking about a receiver who's probably the tallest receiver out of our receiving core, right? 6'4", probably the tallest receiver we got, but he needs to show that on a more consistent basis. But if he can continue to beat Tre'Davious White, that's only good news for him, right? He can continue to improve in that role. Elliot, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. Let's go Buffalo. Absolutely. That's what this channel is all about. Let's go Buffalo. Again, preseason starts August 1st, the Hall of Fame game. August 1st, obviously the Bills are not in the Hall of Fame game, but we will keep you covered throughout preseason, doing every Buffalo Bills game live right here, every regular season game. We do live play-by-play and reaction. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. The regular season's just around the corner. Again, my Twitter handle is in the description below. Follow me on Twitter as I'll keep you updated on all Buffalo sports. And again, also my Amazon affiliate link below. Best dad ever. Father's Day coming up on Sunday. Click on that link. Buy yourself or buy your father best Father's Day ever shirt from Amazon.com. Buffalo Bills logo right in the middle. It will be, your dad will love it. My dad's going to love it. So I look forward to Father's Day. He may actually be watching. So there's your Father's Day gift, Dad. But yeah, so again, guys, thank you for commenting. And again, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button. I will do my best to get to the comments. If I miss your comment, obviously just resend it. Or I do watch these again after these are over to make sure I see the comments at least, and maybe I'll reply to them in the comment section below as well. So, but yeah, right on, peeps. Let's follow each other on Twitter. Hey, absolutely. When I'm on Twitter, I will, anything that anybody has anything about the Buffalo Bills in their description, I'm gonna hit that follow button, because you never know where news comes from, right? And so I want to make sure that you all have the most up-to-date news that you can. And so when Mike Rodak will post something, if it's relevant and I don't see it being retweeted by a million people, I'll retweet it. If Buffalo Rumblings, if Buffalo Fanatics, whoever it is, I follow them all, and you should too. And then you get the most up-to-date news that you can. You never know who's going to break that news, but then sometimes you have to be careful, because then someone will say, hey, we're going to get Antonio Brown, and then that doesn't happen, right? But that was a good source. That was only Rappaport. So, but yeah, be careful. But yeah, sometimes you see what happens. So thumbs up. Thanks, Elliot. How about some shout outs when you read our messages? Maestro, absolutely. Listen, I try to give shout outs. I try to do as much as I can, because I love you guys and all the support you give me. Ronald, and I try to make like John Patrick and all them. If you're here and you're a regular follower, Fox87 is a regular follower, #sports. I try to make you guys moderators as well, so that way you guys can read the comments and decide if that's something that should be on my stream or not, and I appreciate that as well. If anybody wants Ronald, I believe you've gotten to me a couple times as well. And again, to let you all know, my basement is currently under construction. I have no idea when it's going to be done. I want it to be done before the beginning of the season. However, the longer it goes, the more it's looking like that might be unlikely. But I'll let you know when it's done. And Ronald, I'll definitely get at you as well for some merchandise and see what we can do to liven up the place a little bit. Timothy, thank you very much. Facts all day. That I try to give you facts, and I also want to give you both sides of any argument. I'll give you my opinion sometimes, but most of the time I just want you guys to decide for yourself. Hey, is Duke Williams going to be on the starting roster, right? Currently, I'm doing that 53-man roster series, trying to break this roster down from 90 men to that 53-man roster. Who do I think is going to make that 53-man roster? We've already covered the offense. We've covered every position of the offense. And then now this week we'll get into the defense a little bit as well and see what the defense can do for us and who I think is going to make the 53-man roster for this defense. Hearing CB Johnson for the Texans he's been doing great. He has been doing great. John Roberts, again, and there are some people who are saying that. Ronald, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But going back to what Elliot said, Johnson originally from the Texans. The one knock on Johnson is they can't stay healthy, right? And so if he can stay healthy and be worth that first-round pick, then it's going to be a great steal for us as far as in free agency, right? And he will probably make the team. I'm going to look at the cornerback list again when I break down the 90 to 53. I'm pretty sure he's one of the safe ones, but he's definitely stepping up during mandatory mini camps here, proving that he should be on the team. So I look forward to seeing more from him. Levi Wallace is out there. John Patrick, absolutely. Got to talk about him. You talk about, obviously, Trey White's going to be our number one. You talk about Gaines. We re-signed Gaines again. So where does he fit and all that? And then, of course, you talk about our safeties with Poyer and Hyde. I think one of the best safety duos in the NFL, if not the best. That's why we had the #1 pass defense last year, although we're still getting disrespected by Fox. If you looked at Fox Twitter pages when they asked who are the 4 best defensive backfields in the NFL, and we weren't even listening to the top 4, even though we had the #1 pass defense last season. I'm just saying. So again, Duke Williams will make it. A lot of people saying Duke Williams will make it, and again, I did an episode on Duke Williams individually. I did my wide receiver episode, and I do not have Duke Williams making the team. But guys, if I'm wrong, that's good for the Bills. That's good for all of us. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope he earns the spot. 6'4" wide receiver, good hands, go up and get it. That's what I want to see. But you're talking about a guy who ran a slower 40 time than Kelvin Benjamin. You're talking about a guy who has been more inconsistent at times than Kelvin Benjamin. In the CFL, he had 87 receptions, I believe it was, and led in yards. And again, that's great. And had and I have all these stats in the episode breakdown, but I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, 18 yards per catch, something like that, and that's all really good. But again, as I broke down the CFL and looked into it a little bit more, the guy who led the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns in 2017 came into the NFL, went to the Minnesota Vikings, forgetting his name off the top of my head, so I apologize, and only had 1 catch. He played in all 16 games, had 1 catch. And I hope we get more production out of him if he does make the Buffalo Bills. But that just shows you how tough it is going from the CFL to the NFL. Now I'm not saying that guy won't come on in his second year and do better, but we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, I want to talk about Tyree Jackson a little bit from Buffalo, the University of Buffalo, not getting any reps according to reports with the Buffalo Bills right now. He's not seeing any time on the field. I'm sure he's going to see time on the field during preseason. I'm sure he'll probably see time on the field during training camp as well, but we really haven't seen much from him, and you wonder why that is. It's not a big deal because, again, this is just minicamp, but at the same time, we want to see what Tyree Jackson can give us, whether he's worth a 53-man roster spot. Now, of course, everyone's thinking that the Buffalo Bills are going to try to put him on the practice squad. But in order to put him on the practice squad, he has to pass waivers, right? And is he going to pass waivers? I'm not sure. I think playing against this D is going to make that first Jets game a murder house. Josh Allen will come in, not see Joe Emporia and Micah Hyde smiling. I hope so. And I'll do a breakdown, of course, of every single game during Thursday Night Football. I come live during halftime. I'll try to get done before the start of the second half, but normally I don't. And I'll give you a small breakdown leading up to the Sunday game. Last season I was on here live at 12:30 Eastern time to give you a little bit more of a breakdown, give you predictions. So I'll continue to try to do that as well as best I can. But I will be live at the start of each Buffalo Bills game, unless I'm at the game. You saw what I did with the Jacksonville game last season when I was there. Plan on going to one Buffalo Bills game in Buffalo again this season, so I'll let you know when that is, so you can hopefully catch the Bills somewhere else. But I look forward to having you guys join me here. So again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think. And yeah, as far as gonna run for now. Love the channel. Keep it great with. Thank you, Elliot Essler. I appreciate it. I will continue to keep up the good work. As if you watched the last video, I was on a work conference, so I brought you some information from that conference home now. So I hope to get more videos out as fast as I can so that you guys can keep up to date on all Buffalo news. But again, guys, just wanted to wrap up minicamp a little bit, talk about the defense, talk about Eddie Yarborough. Not exactly looking good in minicamp. Obviously, there's still a lot of time left where he can continue to look good, so we don't read too much into it. But he's one of those guys that are kind of the fence right now, right? I mean, you look at who we drafted. You look at some of the guys we signed for agency. Eddie Yarborough isn't a guarantee on this team. So as I do my breakdowns, I'll let you know if I think Eddie Yarborough is going to make it. Ed Oliver, still on the second team, has not moved up to that first team yet. Trent Murphy currently filling that role on the first team. So but Shaq Lawson is also on the second team as well. So what does that all mean, right? What are we doing? You talk about Shaq Lawson. Obviously, again, we didn't sign his fifth-year option, so seeing him down in the depth chart might be a little bit of a surprise. But then again, we might just, Coach McDermott, Leslie Frazier, they might just be mixing it up, right? For all we know, they're just mixing it up, seeing what's best for the Buffalo Bills. Trent Murphy looking great. I hope he continues to look great. And they talked to Leslie Frazier, and they talked to Coach McDermott. They said that there's a different feel, there's a different look to Trent Murphy. Now, last year, he was coming off that injury with the Redskins, right? So he was just coming back from injury. Maybe this year he's finally finding himself again get back to that 8.5 sack season, like you said, Deion Patrick. Hopefully, continue to help our Buffalo Bills. But we talked about that defense. We talked about that play with Trey White where he got beat by Duke Williams. Everyone, of course, huge on Duke Williams. I'm not as huge, but again, if he makes the team, that's only good for the Buffalo Bills. I look forward to, hopefully he does make the team. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens there. As I said in my breakdown, I have 7 wide receivers making the Buffalo Bills 53-man roster. That's one up from the 6 from last season. So we'll see who's in, who's out. Obviously, we have till August 31st to do that. August 31st by 4 p.m. We must have our roster down to at most 53 men, and then by September 1st at noon, I believe at that point you can, between the 4 p.m. deadline and the noon deadline the next day, that's when teams can sign guys that will waive. But the thing is, if we drop, like for Tyree Jackson, for example, if we drop Tyree Jackson and someone tries to pick him up off waivers, he has to be on that team's 53-man roster. No one can block us from having Tyree Jackson on our team just to be jerks about it, right? He has to be on that 53-man roster. When you think about 53-man roster in the NFL, you need every one of those players to matter. You need every one of those players to be there, to have a role, right? And you're not just going to put Tyree Jackson on a 53-man roster to be a backup unless you need him, unless you need that backup because you don't have one. Maybe a team has an injury during training camp, something like that. Where they need to find, or preseason even, where they need to find a backup quarterback. But you can't just take him away and put him on your practice squad. So maybe the Bills will have a shot to get Tyree Jackson on the practice squad, even though Mel Kiper had Tyree Jackson as one of the best remaining undrafted player when the draft was over. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Willie Snead, you're hearing a little bit from him as well. Still, I'm surprised he never went. He went undrafted. I think he's gonna make the team. I really do. I think that this kid's gonna look really good. So I look for Beasley. Beasley, of course, is gonna be Beasley. Oh, and speaking of low center of gravity, that actually reminds me of Mitch Morse was able to participate as well. So it's good to see him getting healthy. And again, all these injuries minus Tyler Croft's foot injuries, not that big of a deal. Jason Kroom has a hamstring thing, so you know that can linger. So maybe again, this break comes at perfect time for the Robert Fosters, for the Jason Krooms to just fully heal before training camp officially gets underway. So I look forward to that. We hope that Beasley is our new Edelman. You're absolutely right, Ronald Lenks. We hope that Beasley is our new Edelman, and that he can provide that like short third down distance comfort blanket for Josh Allen. That's why a lot of the tight ends we got are blocking tight ends. We hear Dawson Knox and our 7th round pick, Boston College tight end. Come on, Todd Sweeney have been doing well, stepping up in the tight end position as well. So you might see more from them, especially if we have to question if we're going to keep Tyler Croft, because Tyler Croft is going to be hurt for the first 1 or 2 months of the season, possibly. Right? He's going to miss the first month or 2 of the season, so it'll be interesting to see if we keep him on the 53-man roster. Long time till training camp, absolutely. But we look forward to having training camp soon. Again, the season's getting closer and closer, guys. Enjoy your summer. I will keep you up to date on all things Buffalo Bills right here. So hit that subscribe button, like this video, and again, follow me on Twitter. Link in the Twitter description below. Enjoy your Father's Day on Sunday. Again, Amazon link below. Best dad ever. Still plenty of time to buy Father's Day gifts. Go on there. Again, helps out the channel, so I appreciate it. Like this video. How long? Well, I can tell you in a second here, actually, because I have the dates up. So we're looking at the next dates of importance. Mid-July. It just says mid-July. Clubs are permitted to open preseason training camp for rookies and first-year players. Veteran players, other than quarterbacks or injured players, may report to the club's preseason training camps no earlier than 15 days prior to the club's first scheduled preseason game, or July 15th, whichever is later, okay? So when you're thinking about training camp, talk about July 15th. Look at July 15th as the day of training camp to begin. So that's pretty much the next big date. Again, a little bit more than a month away, but that gives me plenty of time to let you know who I think is going to make the 53-man roster. Again, we'll do all the defensive position breakdowns, and I'll have more news for you as it comes up. Good to see no one. Well, I can't say that for real, but because someone did get in trouble. But good to see nothing from Zay Jones. Good to see nothing from LaShawn McCoy. Good to see nothing from our marquee players, at least at this time. But if anything happens, you know where to catch it, guys. We'll have it right here for you. I'll bring breaking news to you live, and I'll continue to keep up to date on all Buffalo sports. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Again, thank you all for your support. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Have a great Father's Day. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.